Welcome again from me, Dave Coates. This is the beginning of a series of sessions on forecasting. For the first session, the word notes on Learn provide lots of detail and the PowerPoint slides provide an outline. You may choose to use the PowerPoint slides to structure your own notes. But before we start in detail, what do I mean by a forecast and how does this differ from a target? In simple terms, a forecast is based on data such as past sales and marketing activities and is a best guess as to what will happen in the future. A best guess based on data. By contrast, a target is often what management would like to happen. If the forecast and the target are different, there ought to be a plan to bring the two together. For example, increased marketing expenditure. Two widely used methods of generating forecasts are WMW forecasts and PFA forecasts. WMW stands for what management wants to hear, and PFA stands for pluck a figure from the air. I leave you to decide whether these are really forecasting methods or whether they should be classed as targets. Over the course of this series of sessions on forecasting, we will look at forecasting under 5 headings. And by slightly tweaking the English language, I have made these 5 headings the 5 M's of forecasting. The first M is management of the forecasting process. And this is the topic for this session. The second M is methods of forecasting. The third M is remembering the timescale. Remembering would be the proper English, but to make 5 M's, remembering the timescale. The fourth M is monitoring the forecast costs. And the fifth and final M is monitoring the forecast accuracy. So firstly, we consider managing the forecasting process. Managing the forecasting process is hugely important in retailing because forecasting is a major activity for retailers. For many retailers, every item or stock keeping unit needs forecasting for every store, every day. And this is so they can put the right goods on the right lorry to replenish each of the different stores the company owns. And even if a retailer simply works on a one sold, one replenished basis, then they are forecasting. They are forecasting that tomorrow will be just the same as yesterday. You ought to be able to give many examples of why that is unlikely to be true. So a core thought is that forecasting is important to retailers and their suppliers. Indeed, almost all of the recent developments in managing the forecasting process have been made by retailers and or their suppliers. Forecasting every item, every store, every day can mean that retailers generate millions of forecasts every day. They need good methods to do that, and the whole process is big and needs good managing. As you read through the word notes on Learn, you will see that three methods of managing forecasting are considered. The first is called aggregate forecasting and replenishment, and this is where there is no collaboration between the retailer and the supplier. Having read the notes, you should be able to see opportunities for collaboration and communication between the retailer and their supplier, and how this collaboration and communication will help ensure that the retailer has the right goods in the warehouse at the right time. The second approach is called Vendor Managed Inventory, or VMI, and introduces some collaboration between the retailer and the supplier. In particular, the retailer needs to share sales data or warehouse withdrawal data so that the supplier knows what is needed. And by warehouse withdrawal data, I mean data about what has been sent from the warehouse to the stores. Hopefully this then becomes actual sales, but I'm sure you're aware that not everything in the store sells straight away. As part of the material on vendor managed inventory, you should watch the video about McCormick Spices. The link is on Learn. You should also reflect on the extent to which vendor managed inventory is a good idea for retailers and for suppliers, and what issues there might be. The PowerPoint slides on Learn contain some comments on vendor managed inventory at Sainsbury's, and these might help your reflections on vendor managed inventory. Retailers and their suppliers have made various attempts to develop vendor managed inventory, and these can be considered under the heading of jointly managed inventory. Retailers and their suppliers jointly working. From our perspective, jointly managed inventory needs simply to be thought of as a stepping stone to CPFR, collaborative planning, forecasting and replenishment. CPFR, collaborative planning, forecasting and replenishment, forms the third of our approaches to managing the forecasting process. Again, having read the word notes on Learn, you should reflect on the opportunities and challenges of CPFR, how it provides more collaboration than vendor managed inventory, but perhaps more cost and more problems. And how might this material appear in an exam? A question on the Winter 2017 exam paper said, analyse the importance of managing the forecasting process. Your answer should include discussion of ways in which retailers and their suppliers have sought to manage the forecasting process.